Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our webinar, Utilizing the New Digital ALARA Notification Process in myLDR. Our presenters today are David Foth and Emily Quirk, and my name is Tiffany Williams. I will be the moderator for today's session. Let me introduce our presenters. David Foth is the product manager for myLDR with over 15 years of experience creating innovative solutions within hardware and software products. David enjoys working with our customers to discover digital workflow solutions that streamline inefficiencies of complex tasks and activities. Emily Quirk is a product owner for myLDR with over 25 years of dosimetry experience. Emily's specialty involves dose-related analysis and solutions to improve dose management. With that, I will turn it over to Dave and Emily.
Thanks, Tiffany, and welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us on the ALARA service webinar. We're very excited to introduce to you a new way of working to support your ALARA program. Today, what we're going to cover is just a basic intro on the premise of ALARA, how it's used in typical radiation protection programs. But then we're going to spend the majority of our time really introducing the new ALARA service on myLDR, walking you through exactly what an RSO would use or the RSO team would use for handling and managing ALARA notifications. Then we'll take a minute. We'll also walk you through exactly what the participants would experience, what they would see, as well as we'll talk through some of the details on the features within this new service in terms of customizing it, getting started, and just all the nuts and bolts about it. So just as kind of setting ground, basic understanding on the ALARA principle, ALARA, which represents as low as reasonably achievable, is a premise that's used really to minimize the amount of dose that individuals get when they have radiation exposure in their day-to-day jobs. It's a premise that is recognized by state and other regulatory agencies who may audit or inspect your radiation protection program. And what that looks like generally in practice is that most customers that we work with are managing and monitoring their employees against a dose threshold, which represents the ALARA levels in their program. If they have a participant who exceeds that dose threshold, then there's typically a communication to advise the participant, as well as documenting all of the communications, the awareness, any training, and so on. So it's really a process to help those individuals understand where their dose stands, how to minimize their dose, and that you're documenting it in a way that it supports your audit trail and your history for your inspections. So one of the things that we discovered as we spoke to our customers about the ALARA process is that our historical solution, which we call the ALARA memo, is a process that required a lot of manual work from our customers. It was not customizable, and it really included our customers working in many different areas, downloading documents, putting them into emails, sending those, even potentially printing documents, scanning them in, trying to get signatures. And it really reflected the cumbersome workflow that our customers went through and an opportunity for us to improve it. And that's what we've been doing with the ALARA service. We see the main pain points that our customers go through is logging in to look up ALARA notifications, find out if any of their employees have hit one of those trigger levels, working outside of myLDR, so downloading documents, putting them into an email or printing them, or meeting with participants, and oftentimes a lot of energy spent around what I'll call nagging participants to respond. So they're day-to-day activities are busy in other areas, and so getting that response from a participant often takes many attempts and time from the RSO team, as well as then documenting their response. So our vision was to really create a digital workflow that was all-encompassed right within myLDR that simplifies this process and alleviates these pain points. And in a nutshell, what we're delivering with the ALARA service is a very customizable ALARA solution that allows you to do your full workflow right from within myLDR. Customization in a way that you can set up your ALARA notifications, adjusting either the descriptions that show up on those or the dose investigation questions. You can make those your own. You can use our templates. But at the end of the day, we will be sending an email notification when an ALARA participant hits a threshold. And you'll be able to then log into myLDR, see a list of those individuals who've exceeded the ALARA levels. And right from within myLDR, you'll be able to send them a notification, as well as follow up on the complete workflow to see their response, their answers to any dose investigation questions, and of course to archive all of these activities for any audits or inspections and make it very simple to create that audit trail. So the real benefits here is just eliminating that manual tracking, doing it in a digital way, customizing those notifications, just saving time, as well as keeping everyone in the loop. So it's not just the participant who is notified, but frequently our customers are wanting to notify employee managers, as well as other RSO team members. And so having that flexibility to keep everybody in the loop on these ALARA events is very critical. And with that, we're going to pause for a minute for our first poll question, which is how often do you send ALARA notifications to your participants? And Edna, go ahead and launch that poll question.
And David, that first poll question has been launched, and we will give participants about 30 seconds to enter their responses. And I see responses are coming in. And to the audience, thank you for your participation in our poll questions today. This is one of two. We do appreciate your input. And so we would use that for future webinars as well. So I'm going to go ahead, David, and close that poll question and share those results. We're going to go ahead and close, and I can share. So as you can see, 42% of the audience indicated quarterly, 8% indicated annually, 30% of the audience indicated both quarterly and annually, and 19% of the audience indicated I don't send ALARA notifications.
All right, very interesting. Thanks, Edna.
Oh, sure, you're welcome.
Yeah, I think we definitely see a lot in the quarterly level, and then that combined quarterly and annual. So that's interesting. All right, now we're going to transition into really the exciting stuff. Emily's going to walk us through a kind of a hands-on experience with myLDR and the new solution, and exactly what the RSO team will see.
Thank you very much. So as David said, here you can see on my screen the new page that we have for our ALARA Services product. We can see right here on the left-hand menu under the Services section is where we can see the menu item. It's nice because as you're asking yourself, where do I find my ALARA exceeders, you'll be able to find it right here easily on the Services menu on the left. You can see the ALARA word right there, which is very easy to find. Here on the screen, we can see there's two tabs. First is the ALARA participants, which I'll be going through now, and the notifications templates, which David will go through a little bit later. So here on the ALARA participants page, this will show all participants who have exceeded their ALARA level in the time period that's indicated here. So these three participants have exceeded the ALARA 2 level for Q2 2025, and they're listed here. I'm going to navigate to Q3, where we can see that there will be no participants showing ALARA exceeded. So we can see this is the image of what you'll show. I'm going to navigate over to the year 2025, and I want to look into a little further detail for certain participants. So first I'm going to take a look. I can see the participant detail here. I can also see the account and sub-account. This is showing all the accounts and sub-accounts where they work. So you can see for this participant, she works in one account and 2 different sub-accounts. This is an overview for you for the participants that you see. You can also see this column showing action status. It will show action required here if there's some follow-up work for you to do. So when there's a new record that needs your attention, you'll see this action required. Now, when you first come into the system with your brand new data, as you're just looking at it for the first time, you might see more action requireds listed here for on your screen. But as you work into the product and get used to it, you'll have fewer that are there. It'll only be showing you the newest ones that need attention. I'm going to click into this participant, Catherine Gannon, because I want to know a little further detail about what her situation is. I'm going to click here, and I can see my ALARA overview page for her. So this is going to show information just about her screen, or her information for this particular time period. We can also see that she has IDR access, and we can see her email address as well. This is just our test account, so this is not all real data. So as we look here, we can see the list of all the ALARA notifications that she has received for the year 2025. So this is looking only at the annual ALARA level. It's not necessarily looking at how many quarterly record or notifications she received. So here, this would be similar to the number of ALARA memos that she received using our older product if you use the ALARA memo product today. So these are the notifications that she's received. We can see that these records are now broken down by account and sub-account. So you can see that she works in 2 different sub-accounts, CVR and CCL. And each time that there's a different dose record, you can see that there's 2 different notifications created, one for each sub-account. That really gives you the flexibility to decide if you want to share the notification with the participant or not, based on just any number of things, but based on your process, how you do things. We've heard some RSOs say that participants maybe are mostly active in one sub-account, but they also work in another sub-account, maybe less or a lot less dose. So maybe you only want to publish the notification for the sub-account where the participant is receiving the most dose. And you'll see here, these dose values are the doses that are shown on this notification. So it's important to know that these dose values are not necessarily the dose that this participant has now. So you can see it increases for the year. And this is the last time that she had an ALARA exceeder, but this should not be compared against the 2025 annual limit that she has, because it can be different as the year goes on or as the time period goes on. So we can see over here in the status column, we can see the status of the notification, and then we can see the next steps that are shown on some. So you can see that some have a next steps that are listed and others don't. So let's go through some of these and see what we're looking at. Again, this is test data. We set it up so that we've got just the full gamut of options here. So yours will probably look a little bit cleaner once you're using the product. It'll probably look a little bit more where you'll have similar statuses as you go down. But here we'll look at this new record. So we can see status is new, and the preferred option is publish. So let's go ahead and publish that. So what that's going to do is share this ALARA notification with the participant on using IDR. And again, we can see that she has IDR access. So let's click on the publish button. This will explain we're going to publish to the participant. Here's the participant that we have. This will show up in their email, as well as it'll be in their IDR portal. Now, say maybe you're the RSO who's in charge of their radiation monitoring, but say Catherine's got a supervisor who is somebody else that you want to keep informed. You can click on the CC button, and then you can add another email notification. So we can say like email.com. And then this person will also receive additional notifications for Catherine. So they'll receive this first notification, and then any reminders that we send, we'll send a reminder to Catherine after 3 days and after 6 days about this ALARA if she does not respond. And those reminders will also go to this email address. And you can add more than one if you'd like by clicking CC recipient again. You can continue to add more. And then if we click on publish, this will send that email to Catherine, which Dave is going to go through in a minute. He'll go through the participant view. And then you'll notice here on the bottom row, this notification now is indicating waiting for response. So that's showing the status is that now you don't have anything more to do. Now we're waiting for the participant to respond. So just say, for example, we have once Catherine responds, we have a sample here where once she answers the questions or acknowledges the notification using IDR, the status is now changed to questions answered. If they've just acknowledged it, then we don't even need to do this step. But here we can see, we can take a look at the answers. So here we have the option to share questions with the participants. Dave is going to go through that part with our template work. But here are the questions that we sent. Was the badge placed or stored near radiation? No, it wasn't. We can see here the questions and the answers for the participant. So from here now you'll know additional information about this exposure. I'm going to click on next, and what this is going to let you do here is to complete the notification. So now you can go ahead and click on sign and complete, and that will just mark this as complete. If you want to add some notes, so say based on her answers, maybe you want to say like dose correction is required, for example. Maybe you want to note that as well. You can click on sign and complete. Now you'll see that this record, this top one, is now marked as complete. So now there's nothing more that you need to do here. You'll also notice that there's some options that are marked as closed. A closed one is one that you might see that was in new status, but maybe you chose not to publish it. For example, maybe you know that this participant works in CCL and receives most of her dose there, but in subaccount CVR, maybe she only works there very rarely and would not be a high source of radiation. So in that case, you could choose to send this notification, but this one for CVR, you can close it, which means that it will not be sent to her, but you'll be able to bring it to a completion state. Once these records are completed, you also have the opportunity to click on this three-dot menu and you can export the file. So let's click on that. And you'll see it come up here in your downloads file. And here's the PDF of this notification. So I want to go through and just show you what is here. So this is kind of the header data. We can see the information about the ALARA program. This section also shows the activity. So this shows the steps of what happened with this notification. So first Landauer created the notification, then the RSO closed it, then we actually we went ahead and published it, then Catherine answered the questions, and then the notification was completed and signed. This activity is really nice for an auditor to be able to see the steps and a timeline of what happened with this notification. Also, you can see some of the notes that were published. So originally we published a note that this was not the subaccount where she received the majority of her dose, and later added another note. That's the one that we just added a minute ago. And then here we can see the 2025 annual dose. We can see the DDE, LDE, SDE, and extremity dose values. And we can see which ones have exceeded ALARA. It also shows the threshold levels so that you can see how close you were to ALARA 1 and how close you are to ALARA 2 and so on. That helps to kind of get an idea where you are with this dose value. And then we show the signature and the date and then the acknowledgement date from the participants. And then at the bottom, if there are questions associated, we can see the questions and the answers. Okay, and navigating back to the ALARA service. On this page, you'll note that this three-dot menu is here for all different statuses. So for example, this completed record, we can export the file. In this case, if we're waiting for the response, we have multiple options. We can close the notification or we can export the file. And this exported file will only show the steps that have happened so far for this particular notification. And then last, for the closed record, if you want to go ahead and change your mind and publish it, you can do that as well. So we really try to give you the flexibility to do things that you'd like to do, but also help to show you what is the logical next step for this notification. Okay. And then also, if you want to see the details for the record, but maybe you don't want to do it using a PDF, you can click on the row here. So within this grid, you can click on this row and you'll see just a web version of what we saw on that PDF. So we can see the status, the header, we can see the dose values. This shows this is an annual exceeder. It shows the questions and answers, and it also shows the activity log that we saw earlier. And then also if there's a note. So all of this information you can see here on this view. And then the last thing I wanted to go through as well is if you, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go back out of Catherine. I'm going to go back to the main screen where we can see all the participants. We've had some questions about how do we use this service if I don't have IDR? So this is something that I want to go over so that you know if you aren't ready to use IDR, maybe you don't have all those email addresses in yet, but you want to use the service, or maybe you have IDR, but you really just prefer to have the communication verbally with the participant, or you want to use email for some reason, you can still use the ALARA service without using the IDR process. So if we go to a participant here, Alex, we click on his row, you'll notice a couple of changes here. One is that his IDR access is set to no. So in this case, you'll see his record is new, but his publish button is grayed out. That will explain, the message below explains that because he doesn't have IDR access, you cannot use that publish function. But you still can use this export file method. And if you export the file like this, here's his record. You can see there's no notes, there's less activity. And then if we scroll, you can still see, of course, the dose value. This place leaves a space for signatures and acknowledgements. And the questions allow you to input the answers, just write them in or type them in if you'd like to. So this option allows you to have an email or face-to-face, hard copy method, whatever it is that you want it to do. If you want to do it outside of IDR, you can do it this way. So that is the end of our live demo. We are ready for that second poll question.
All righty. So what type of ALARA levels does your facility use? Is it default ALARA levels from Landauer, custom override ALARA levels, or we don't use the ALARA program from Landauer? All righty, responses are coming in, and we will give participants about another 30 seconds to enter responses. Once again, thanks to you, the audience, for your engagement and our poll questions today. All righty. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll question and share the results. So as you can see, 56% of the audience indicated the default ALARA levels from Landauer. 27% of the audience indicated custom override ALARA levels, and 18% of the audience indicated we don't use ALARA program from Landauer. So once again, thanks, Emily and David. Are you surprised by some of the responses?
Actually, that's kind of what I expected. I felt like a lot of our customers use typically the default levels, but I think oftentimes I hear there's a lot of questions about how can we customize the ALARA levels, and that can be done very simply by reaching out to our customer service team and asking them to set those custom ALARA levels for you. And just by the way, I had asked Emily before this for a little bit of data, but the ALARA 1 quarterly is 125 milligram. The ALARA 2 quarterly is 375, and those are the default levels. So if you're using default levels, that's the quarterly. The annual is 500 and 1500. But again, if you want to set custom levels, just takes a phone call to the customer service team and you can specify those. Emily, are custom ALARA thresholds set at the sub-account or the account level?
You can do it at either one, account or sub-account.
Okay, so a lot of times customers will tell us they have a sub-account where they know the dose levels are different and they need to set custom ALARA levels there. So that's often one of the reasons that people will do so. All right. Edna, if you could transfer the screen back to myself, I'll walk us through the remaining portion. All right. So we're going to walk through the participant workflow. It's going to give you a little bit of an idea about the.
David, I think you need the other
don't...
screen.
Yeah.
Let me check. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you.
We've all been there, right?
Bear with me. All right. Thanks for that.
Here you go.
There you go.
Correct.
All right. Yeah, so we're going to walk you through exactly what is the participant experience. And this is really designed around using the individual dose review portal. And that is leveraging the emails that for the participant so that right within myLDR, you can just send these things out. It's going to go automatically to the email that's on record. And by the way, the IDR, there's some help materials in myLDR that will help you set that up, but you can upload groups or a batch of email addresses and the system will match those to your participants, or you can add them individually. But when the RSO publishes a notification, an email will be sent to the participant and they'll get a reminder every 3 days. And if we don't get a response from the participant within 10 days, we will notify the RSO team that hasn't happened yet. And essentially, participants will just get that notification. They'll click to open the IDR. Login is very simple. It's really just using what we call a magic link. So they don't have to have password and user ID per se, but by default, if they have access to their email, they then have to access the email to get the link to get into the system, and that's the security portion of it. And this is only showing them dose information for their own individual doses. No other participants can be seen. And when they receive that notification for an ALARA, when they log in, the system itself will actually focus their attention on the ALARA. So let's say, for example, there's no ALARA notifications. When they log in, they're simply going to see their dose history, their lifetime dose, quarterly dose, any details there. However, if there is an ALARA, then we're really going to drive that user directly to the ALARA section when they arrive and walk them through the review and submission for the ALARA response. And in that, they'll be able to see their dose information. It'll be highlighted. And if there are questions, not every ALARA notification includes dose investigation questions, but if you have them, participant will be driven to answer those questions and then submit that. And so they'll have also a historical record for any ALARA notifications, but if there's anything active, there will be action buttons that show the required action for those individuals. So it's very straightforward. Literally, it should take just a few seconds for them to click through it and do this. So very simple process. Customizing the experience. Now, when you set this up, you have the option to use our default ALARA notifications, and that's just kind of a standard template introduction. It's going to include some basic details around the ALARA, but it's fairly generic in nature. And as we said earlier, our customers really were looking for the ability to customize this, make it your own, make it reflect your own radiation protection program. And so as you come into the system and you select those ALARA templates, and again, that's up here at the top, you'll see the notification templates. Once you click on that, you can either select a template and manage that template to make changes or edit that, or you can create a new template. And creating a new template allows you to choose the ALARA level for which this template would be used. First of all, you've got the ability to create a different one for ALARA 1s from ALARA 2s, and your introductory text can be customized here. And then you have the ability to specify if you want dose investigation questions included, you can include those questions here. And you can choose from either a drop-down list of standard questions that we offer, or you can create your own custom questions. So it's very flexible. And really to finalize that template, it's very simple. You're really going to create a name for the template, and then you're going to assign this to the accounts. And let's say you have a very simple organization. You can apply the same template to all accounts, make it very simple. Maybe you've got an ALARA 1 template, an ALARA 2 template, and you're done. However, if you've got a more complex structure to your organization and you want to create these with special templates for different accounts, you can do so in that way, as well as by the ALARA level. So a lot of flexibility there. Once you click to create your template, then you're back to that full list of templates which will be applied. And when you then publish a notification to a participant, that's where it's going to tie into the specific template for that account and send that notification. So pretty straightforward in terms of customizing it. You can, of course, access and delete any of those templates and start new, and a lot of flexibility there. So I'm going to talk just briefly around subscribing to the ALARA service. The ALARA service is a fee-for-service, just like the ALARA memo was. It's a fairly minimal fee, and it's based on the number of participants in your organization, and it just charges kind of a monitoring fee on a monthly basis. This is roughly equivalent to the prior pricing, but it's set up in a little bit different structure. The subscription can happen in one of two ways. One is you'll see ALARA service on the main menu. If you already have the ALARA service from our legacy product, the ALARA memo, you can access it here and you're good to go. There's going to be an automatic migration so that you're already signed up for it. If you're not subscribed to it and you click on the ALARA service, you'll be able to see a video about the ALARA service as well as learn about it. Click to explore pricing. That'll show you exactly what it would be. And similarly, you can go to the subscription center here on the lower section. And if you click on that and go to the services page, you'll be able to see the ALARA service and click to view pricing. You can subscribe. You can also unsubscribe from that. So you've got all the flexibility in your own hands to kind of manage your subscriptions. So once that's done, if you complete a subscription, you do get a notification just to kind of confirm on the back end. So you'll get an acknowledgement email about the subscription. And with that, I want to cover just a few basic FAQs, and then we're going to move into question and answer period. So when did the new service become effective? So it was July 1. If you had the ALARA memo, you have a 30-day trial period that ends August. And so you can get into the system, you can look at it, test it, try it. If you choose that it's not for you, just unsubscribe before August 1st. Otherwise, you don't need to do anything. It's activated, and that's what will be used going forward. And then additional resources. So within the myLDR, there is a user guide for the new ALARA service. It gives you a click-by-click. You can also, once we have this webinar complete, you'll be able to log back in and watch this again. So you can see exactly how Emily navigated through it and did all the actions. And so what will the existing ALARA memo subscribers see? You'll be able to access the ALARA service now automatically in the portal. If you have prior ALARA memos which showed up in the report section, you can still access those. But from this point forward, everything will be populated into the ALARA service. And but if you needed to go back and look at any historical items, you can go into the report section and pull up any memos. So question around, is pricing different? Pricing is set up structurally different, but roughly in the same amount. But it's set up on a monthly fee per participant. So a small monthly fee and no longer kind of an annual fee that was previously used. And are there any myLDR roles or access levels that are unable to see this? The answer is yes. So sub-account user roles don't have access to this, as well as the financial roles or the unreturned participant role. There is a role in the system that allows people just to mark dosimeters returned, and that's a very restricted access. They don't have access to this. So question, will I need to create my own notifications? You can use the template notifications that are in there, and that can get you started, or you can make some modifications to those just as we walked through. So pretty straightforward. Can I still find my ALARA Exceeder data without using the ALARA service? So yes, you can go into the participant page, and that's your main page with all your participants. There's a calendar selection at the top, and that sets the period range for which your dose information would be applicable. So let's say, for example, you wanted to look at, let's say, second quarter, and you set the time period on that date range to the second quarter this year. You then have an option to set a filter for the ALARA level, and you can do that. It's going to give you a list of your ALARA participants who hit those ALARA levels, but the value of utilizing the ALARA service is really automating those notifications, the workflows, being able to carbon copy or CC an employee's manager or other radiation team members, and just really kind of simplifying a lot of the cognitive load in the grunt work for handling ALARAs. And then if I choose not to subscribe to ALARA service, what other options exist? And that is essentially, if you don't want to use the ALARA service, you can, as I mentioned, log into the participants page, filter for ALARAs, but then you would need to create your own memos and send those and document those. So we think overall this should be a good improvement in workflow and just really save folks a lot of time and effort in terms of tracking these down, having to nag participants, and just really automating a lot of the functions. So we're excited to have this new service. I think now, Edna, we'd like to take some questions and answers.
Thank you, Dave and Emily. Very excited about the new features. We have a ton of questions that came in. First question, is it possible to assign ALARA levels based on the sub-account rather than account?
Yes, you can set the ALARA levels down to the sub-account level. And I think I saw another question there about the default levels. I'll just reiterate what those are. So the ALARA 1 is on a quarterly basis. ALARA 1 is 125 millirem. The ALARA 2 is 375 millirem. And then on an annual basis, the default level is 500 millirem for the ALARA 1 and 1500 for ALARA 2. And again,
that's
customizing those.
Yeah, we also can customize at any other dose type as well.
All right. There were quite a few questions that came in about monthly ALARA, and I know that currently it's only quarterly and annually. Do you have any recommendations for organizations that do monthly ALARA notifications?
So the ALARA notifications and the alerts that we send will happen in a dynamic way. So if individuals receive dose at a higher level prior to the end of the quarter, you'll receive those notifications. You'll be able to log in and process those notifications. However, they are still based on that quarterly threshold of 125 and 375 as kind of the default levels.
In regards to the questionnaire that is sent out, is there a limit for the number of questions that can be utilized?
Yes, great question. So we have right now the ability to add 5 questions for the dose investigation.
Okay. Our annual ALARA has different triggers based on annual cumulative exposure. Can we have 2 different settings, one for monthly or quarterly and one for annual?
Yes, yeah, you'll have different levels for quarterly and annual, and if you need to customize those differently than the default levels that I mentioned, please reach out to our customer service team, let them know for which accounts or sub-accounts you need to set custom levels, and they can make that change.
We have a customer that has the RAD safety service. Will they be notified about ALARA via that service?
Yes, great question. And this is really to kind of share this with the rest of the audience as well. The RAD safety service is our radiation safety services team, which is a service we provide that handles ALARAs for you. Also, they can do dose report reviews and signature, and really kind of streamline a lot of the day-to-day activities for the RSO team. If you're signed up for that RAD safety program, the ALARA notifications, everything else will still handle through that service. So not anything that you would need to do differently at this point.
All right. For customers who are currently utilizing the ALARA memo, if they do not want to subscribe to the ALARA service, are they still able to get the ALARA memos?
No, the ALARA memo is obsolete. They can access any ALARA memos which have been created historically. So if you've got something that it's been generated earlier this year or previous years, you can always go back into your reports section and find those ALARA memos, but there won't be any production ALARA memos going forward. It'll be the ALARA service that we just reviewed today. And so the ability to create your own custom notifications and send those digitally.
Can the questions be customized at the sub-account level?
The templates are only at the account level.
If you have a participant that refuses to answer the questions, do they keep getting the email notifications, or can you add a comment and close out the ALARA?
Yeah, great question. So that happens. Sometimes people are busy or not responsive. And what we'll do then is we'll send an email notification every 3 days until day 10. We'll then notify the RSO team that we don't have a response. And at that point, you can add notes into that ALARA and basically say multiple attempts, no response from the participant. Or if you want to print this, and have a discussion, walk out, find that individual, have the discussion, you can mark that in the notes as well. So had a one-on-one discussion with the participant, discuss their dose and countermeasures for reducing dose, things like that. Mm-hmm. But there's flexibility there to add whatever you need to in those note sections. And then you can close the ALARA notification altogether. The reasons that you might choose to close that notification, number one, it could be that this is a typical dose level that they get on a regular basis. What our customers often tell us are frequent flyers. So they're in interventional radiology, or they have a lot of procedures, they get a lot of dose. They can close that, just add their notes. This is common for this individual. Others might be, no response, I'm going to close it. And so it really should support any options that you need.
Okay. Quick question here. What is the from email address that the ALARA notification emails are being sent from?
That is a great question. I believe it says Landauer. Emily, do you know that one?
I believe it's myldr.com. I can verify that. Let me just go find it while we're answering some more questions, and I'll get back to you.
Thank you. We have a couple on the user roles within myLDR. Do they have to be the RSO in order to handle the ALARA notifications?
There is an access level that's called RSO admin or consultant RSO, and both of those will have the functionality for it.
Okay.
And just to go back to that last question, it is myldr@landauer.com. That's the email notification where the participants will receive their ALARA notification. myldr@landauer.com.
Thanks, Emily. All right, so it looks like someone is just wanting clarification on how, or the availability of this service in the sub accounts. Someone is monitoring only a single sub account and wants to make sure that the feature would be available in the sub account.
So Emily, keep me honest here. I think the sub account has access to it, but the user would need to have account level access. And from that level, they can choose the specific sub account that they're going to manage.
Right. So the account level RSO will need to opt into this service if it's not already selected. But then I believe the sub account level user will be able to send and respond to the notifications as well.
All right. Is the per participant fee per participant in the account or per participant exceeding ALARA?
It's in the account.
All right. Are the EDE2 calculations applied for people working with X-ray and wearing lead aprons?
Yes, the EDs are taken into account. This is looking at the assigned dose accumulation, which is after the ED has been applied. So yes.
Okay. All right. This participant says they have about 700 participants and they're pretty sure they're not participating in IDR. So if they're not in IDR and they exceed the ALARA level, will the RSOs still be able to send an invite to them or the notification?
There's a couple of ways you can do this. Number one is if you got the email addresses, you can add those by clicking on the participant's name and adding IDR access and putting in their email. For those who have large groups of employees that they're monitoring, many of those organizations have actually gotten a list of emails and uploaded those into the system. So within the participant page, you can manage IDR and you can get a template. It's basically his first name, last name, and email, and the system will match those to your participants and highlight any exceptions or issues. But that's one way to get a large number into the system and not have to enter those manually through the process. Let's say that you want to work outside of IDR and you don't want to leverage that functionality. Then Emily showed us a way, but basically you can download that ALARA notification separately and you can then attach that to an email outside of myLDR and send that to an individual. So if that's your workflow today, that can continue. We would encourage you to use the IDR. There's no fee for IDR. It is, it's a great tool. We've had a lot of customers that just are very excited about it. It just simplifies a lot of different functionality and kind of solves that problem about how to share dose information with your participants and do that in a secure way.
Okay. We've had a few questions coming in about how or does this affect the ALARA chart and grid in RADFAX?
No change to the ALARA grid that's in RADFAX. Should be consistent all the way through.
Okay. All right. Our organization does not allow emails from outside the institution. Are we able to print the ALARA notifications from this service?
Yes, yeah. So when you go to that ALARA notification, you can export that and then print those if you like. And okay. If your email, if you can set it up as personal emails for your individuals, those notifications can go to their personal email as well. And a lot of people look at that as similar to employee benefits at an organization. A lot of times your insurance and things like that will come to your personal email so that if you leave the organization, you always have access to it. The beauty with IDR is if you can set it up with personal emails, those individuals, if they leave your organization, they can always get back in, they can always look at their dose. And if they share that email across multiple employers, they have a view into dose from every employer that they have. So a couple options there. But of course, if you don't have the email or your company doesn't allow emails from outside organizations, then you can certainly generate that right from within myLDR and attach it to your own email.
Mm-hmm. All right. I know that our ALARA memo customers are being transitioned over to this new service. Has that happened already?
Yes, so on July 1, if you had the ALARA memo, you now have the ability to see and access the ALARA service. And if you log into myLDR, you should be able to see that on the main menu on the left-hand side and access it there.
Okay.
And just to add on, we actually had a couple of transitions that happened on July 2nd, so it could be in that time frame. So if you received one more ALARA memo on July 1st or July 2nd, that's still okay.
Thanks, Emily. And then Dave, could you also provide information about I believe it's a 30-day?
Yeah. So great question. Just to kind of reiterate the transition. So if you had a ALARA memo, you're automatically set up to get the ALARA service. And what that means is for the next 30 days, you can look at the ALARA service, test it, try it out, see if you like it. If you choose that it's not for you and you don't want to take that service, then you simply just need to unsubscribe. And that's done on the left-hand main menu. If you go to the subscription center, you can view the ALARA service. It's under the services tab, and you can unsubscribe directly from there. As long as you do that by August 1st, there's no charge, and it's pretty straightforward and simple.
All right. Looks like there's still some questions coming in on the way this is being billed. If it's at the sub-account level or participant level. Can you walk us through the fees again, please?
Sure. So it's a small monthly fee based on the number of participants in the account. And it's considerably, It's different in structure from the previous because there was multiple fees involved. We just really tried to keep it simple and predictable, where you don't, any particular quarter, you're not going to have a different amount, and it's a very minimal fee, pennies, cents.
And I know the ALARA memo had an annual fee associated with it as well. Is that gone now?
That's gone as well. So there's not an annual fee, and there's not a transactional fee. It's basically set up as a small monthly.
Okay, so it's more similar to like the Form 5.
Similar to, actually very similar to RadFax,
Yeah.
Or a signature suite.
All right, then we have a question on IDR. Is there a way to tell which participants are set up and which ones are not in IDR?
Yes, there is. There is, on the participant page, you can click the Manage Columns section on the right, and I believe there's an ability to add a column that shows the IDR access.
And there's also a column that shows the last date that they logged into IDR as well. So you can see if they're frequently going there.
Okay. All right. We have a question from someone who says, I normally print all dosimetry reports and have the RSO sign each report to keep in a binder for audits. Will the RSO need to have access to sign bi-monthly dosimetry reports or just the ALARA notifications?
So the bi-monthly dosimetry reports or any of your dosimetry reports can be signed by the RSO, but they would need access to myLDR, and they can sign those digitally with the signature suite functionality that we have. If you choose not to do that, you can obviously download those, print them, and have them sign them in person. But if, again, this is similar to the ALARA service in that, those notifications, all of the dose reports, the dose information can be sent to the participant. So with the signature suite, it's really the ability to review and sign those documents digitally, but also to send that notification to the individuals so they get notified about their dose information is available in IDR. They can, it's a reminder to log in, access it, and then actually signature suite keeps proof of those notifications. So there's a history that shows that you notified the participants, and you've got that for your records.
Okay, well, we are at the top of the hour. If anyone else has any further questions, you can feel free to reach out to David or Emily or the customer service team. Again, the webinar has been recorded. It will be on landauer.com in the Knowledge Center. And thank you, Dave and Emily, for walking us through the ALARA service. And thanks, Edna, for hosting. Hope to see you guys next time.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.